Hello there, and welcome to today's recap of the Manhwa series titled How to Live Life as a Villain. In a nutshell, it's a story based upon a genius player who pretends to be a saint but performs villainous activities discreetly to increase his level in the game and cause chaos among others. The main character of the game is one of the unique players who knows how to survive well in the game, despite being a villain and without being suspected. He joins different groups and even wins their trust to use them for his benefit and advancement in the game. He is one of the most powerful characters in the virtual world, but no one has enough information or knowledge about him. The story opens up in a mysterious room where the four individuals find themselves in a poorly lit room, with a few flickering fluorescent lights casting shadows on the grimy walls. The broken door that the zombie is attempting to break through is old and rusted, with visible claw marks and dents from previous attempts. The group members are all dressed in casual attire with a mix of fear and determination on their faces. As the quest window pops up on their screen, they realize that they have been transported to a virtual reality game where they must complete various challenges to progress. The three objectives presented to them are randomized and chosen by the game's AI, with different levels of difficulty and rewards for each. When one of the group members punches the zombie and deems it weak, the others nod in agreement and ready themselves for an attack. The two observers watching through the camera in the room are a man and a woman, both wearing lab coats and typing on their computers, occasionally muttering comments to each other. To their dismay, as the third male member, Sunghoon, betrays the others and kills them, the atmosphere in the room turns tense and chaotic. Their surviving member's heart is racing as he struggles to comprehend what just happened, while the traitor, Sunghoon, stands there, holding the wooden stake and staring blankly at the bodies. Eventually, he kills all the members in the room and comes out victorious. Suddenly, Jerry, a helper in the gaming world, appears behind Sunghoon. He looks like a tall, muscular man in white attire, with a stern expression and a deep voice. He explains that he is a veteran player of the game, and he has been sent to assist the surviving member in his journey. He also reveals that Sunghoon has 2 lives left, which means he can respawn if he dies twice more. As Sunghoon browses through the shop to find equipment and weapons for his survival, he sees a wide range of items, from weapons and armor to food and potions. He carefully considers each option, weighing the pros and cons of each purchase. When he finally decides on what to buy, he feels a sense of relief and excitement, knowing that these items will help him survive and thrive in the game. Now, Sunghoon is a player in the game who is tasked with completing multiple missions and acquiring mid-tier sword techniques and poison skills. He is then transported to a new city where he comes across a mission giver who informs him that players cannot leave the city after completing the missions and acquiring the necessary skills. Listening to this, Sunghoon prepares himself for the mission and selects the Plague of Rats as his first quest. Using the poison that he obtained from the previous mission, he poisons the rats and completes the mission in a short time, impressing the mission giver. Knowing that Sunghoon completed the mission in a short time, other players are really jealous of his ability, and a couple even try to persuade him to play together with them. However, Sunghoon declines their request and replies that he would like to hunt alone before taking on another quest for hunting wolves. To everyone's surprise, Sunghoon again completes the quest faster than others, using the trap and poison skills he obtained after hunting the rats. Next, Sunghoon goes to an inn to take a rest with the reward aka guilds that he obtained for completing the mission. Surprisingly, here, while Soon is checking his stats, he meets the same couple, Yoongi and his girlfriend Park. As Sunghoon has no idea about what is going on in the outer world, the couple trade to provide him with updated information for a delicious meal. As Sunghoon has enough rewards and coins, he accepts the offer and requests them to provide him with genuine information. Following this, Yoongi begins to tell Sunghoon about the rules of the virtual world they are in. He mentions that players can resurrect after their first death, but will have their stats greatly reduced. He also tells Sunghoon about the square, where he can find different mission points and inns to take a rest. Moreover, Yoongi provides Sunghoon with information about the class-changing temples, where people can visit and acquire new skills. The couple then has their meal and thanks Sunghoon for his generous behavior. After this, while Sunghoon is returning for another mission, he meets the low-ranked people outside, begging for guilds and food. They are the ones who fail to complete the mission and have nothing left with them. Sunghoon does not feel pity for them and walks away. Sunghoon then goes straight to the class-changing temple and meets Philip, the class changer. He is really impressed with Seong's progress and that he has already received 3 classes in his profile. However, he suggests Sunghoon choose among the classes available to him on his window. Surprisingly, Sunghoon chooses Swordsman as his permanent class, and now is ready to battle others with advanced skills. He also pays around 50,000 guilds for the change. Outside the temple, Sunghoon notices 2 players equipped with weapons and armor, indicating that they have already advanced a lot in the game. The girl carrying the sword is Mi Renee, and another player is Kang Muhan, the leader of the Hetefa group, a high-ranking player group in the area. While Kang Muhan's subordinates try to subdue Mi, one of them gets his arm chopped off and the other one runs away in fear. Later, Muhan approaches Seong and asks him to join his team for support. However, Seong refuses the offer and states that he likes being alone. After hearing that Muhan's strength stat is 50, Seong is shocked and decides to increase his stat as soon as possible. He then goes to the mission giver and asks for another quest. To his surprise, he meets Mi at the same place, requesting a mission. In the next scene, Seong is transported to complete the orc-killing mission. Using his intelligence, he sets a trap for the orcs, placing a plate of food in the middle of the forest. To his good luck, the orcs are attracted by the food and come to the place. Using this opportunity, Seong attacks them but finds it difficult to defeat them. However, he soon decides to use his special skill, driving steps, to move swiftly from one location to another and hit his opponent with surprise. This method works for him and he manages to defeat the orcs that were guarding the forest in the first place. Meanwhile, after the troops do not return to their master in the allocated time, the leader of the orc group sends additional troops to search for their group members. Despite being ill, the members hesitantly arrive in the forest and fall into Seong's traps. Seong then attacks them one by one and kills each one of them. He now needs to kill 14 more orcs to complete his mission of 30. Sometime later, Seong finds the orcs' village and discreetly walks inside to find the situation. He is happy to see the orcs suffering from a kind of disease and are all lying passively on the floor. Seeing this, Seong decides to use his sword to kill the orcs and complete his mission. To his bad luck, despite killing the orcs mercilessly, he still needs to kill one more for the mission. Right then, the leader of the orc group senses a human presence in their village and starts searching for him. However, to his bad luck, he too trips on the trap set by Seong and gets killed by him. As soon as he completes the quest, Seong exits the portal and checks the equipment that he obtained from the fight. Here we get to know that one can get the equipment that their opponent uses after eliminating them in the battle. Back to the mission requesting portal, Seong decides to continue taking quests and asks for the Ratman elimination quest. Surprisingly, Mi also appears there and takes the same quest as him. In the next scene, Seong enters the cave to complete the Ratman infestation mission and begins performing it with ease. On the other hand, the girl who chose to perform the same task as him, Mi, also completes the task and, surprisingly, she completes it faster than Seong. Seong is surprised to hear this and starts thinking about different ways to increase his power and strength. 3 months later, Seong goes to a library and asks a lady to provide him with books on skills, as he has already collected enough money to purchase them. He then buys the books of intermediate-grade swordsmanship specialization and intermediate-grade poisoning books for a total of 80,000 guilds. After getting the books, he believes now that he can easily defeat the ranker, Mi, who also defeated him in the previous Moonlit Cave investigation. Next, Seong decides to take part in the cave investigation again and bag enough items this time. He then roams around the market and luckily meets an archer girl, Sung Ah-hyun, looking for a member of their investigation group. After being surprised to know about Seong's ability and strength, Ah-hyun takes him to meet his group and introduces him to everyone. The group members then accept him as a frontline warrior, where he meets Dong-chul, the leader of the group alongside Eora, a thief, and a ranker magician girl, Ellie. Together, they decide to complete the Moonlit Cave investigation mission. In the following scene, the group is transported to the mission location and the group prepares to fight the werewolves. It seems like Ah-hyun and Dong-chol are in a relationship, while Seong accompanies Ellie, thinking that she is a ranker and will help him in the future. In no time, the group is attacked by werewolves and Dong-chol and Seong move forward to eliminate them during the fight. Seong happens to observe the movements of the wolves and attacks them at their weak points. Later, when Dong-chol asks him why he was extending his fight with the wolves, Seong replies that he did not have any active skill, surprising everyone in the group. Seong reveals that he doesn't have any active skills because they're too expensive for him to acquire. Dong notices that despite this, Seong's stats are of a ranker grade, indicating he has combat skills. As they encounter more werewolves, the group fights them off with ease. Seong asks Eora about her dagger-throwing skills and discovers that she is practicing to upgrade her class. Dong plans to complete the mission at Adventurer difficulty, but Seong suggests they aim for a Slaughter difficulty instead, as it offers better rewards. Eora agrees because she needs to complete 3 C-grade missions to upgrade her class. The group agrees to the new plan and allocates different tasks to each member. Dong plans to complete the mission at Adventurer difficulty, but Seong suggests they aim for a Slaughter difficulty instead, as it offers better rewards. Eora agrees because she needs to complete 3 C-grade missions to upgrade her class. The group agrees to the new plan and allocates different tasks to each member. After this, Dong reveals that the black werewolf is considered the intermediate boss of the cave, and Seong offers to take care of it while the others deal with the rest of the werewolves. Ellie suggests killing one of the werewolves upon entering to make the fight easier. The group then prepares to face the black werewolf and complete the mission at Slaughterer difficulty. The group successfully kills all of the werewolves, including the black werewolf that Seong takes down on his own. Aehyun questions Song's abilities and whether he is a real ranker, but Seong brushes it off and pretends that Ellie's fireball had already weakened the werewolf. They rest and Eora offers to cook for everyone, but Seong discovers that the food is poisoned. Eora suggests that it could have been any of them, but Song realizes that he himself would have poisoned them even if no one had made a move. After enjoying the meal, the group decides to move forward and chooses the path with monsters instead of traps. As they approach the awakening moon wolf, the ceiling collapses, and Seong gets separated from the group. They blame Ellie for not seeing the trap, but continue on with Seong. Inside, when they encounter a werewolf, Ellie is supposed to use her fireball, but the poison starts to affect her and degrade her stamina to diminish her powers. Using this opportunity, Eora stabs Dong, while Ellie and Aehyun are lying unconscious on the floor. Dong questions Eora about the betrayal, and she admits to using them. Dong offers to let Eora go in exchange for taking him and the rewards, but Eora refuses. Right then, the moon wolf appears and eats up Dong. Suddenly, Seong appears and accuses Eora of betrayal. Eora threatens Song, but he reveals that he knows everything and starts a fight. Eora underestimates Song and is killed in the battle. As the moon wolf requires 3 sacrifices for awakening, Seong sacrifices Aehyun and Eora to awaken the moon wolf and spares Ellie, believing that she is worth saving. The moon wolf's stamina is reduced because of the poisoned sacrifice, making it easier for Seong to defeat it. Seong plans to touch the moonstone to complete his mission, but he learns that rubbing the moon wolf's blood on the moonstone together can open a secret door. Inside the secret door, Seong discovers 50 werewolves guarding the place, and by defeating them, his swordsmanship improves greatly. He later wakes up Ellie and pretends that they were betrayed by Eora and that he saved her. Ellie appreciates Seong's help and accepts his offer to join him. Despite the guilt he feels for sacrificing his comrades, Seong knows that their deaths were necessary to complete the mission. He looks forward to future adventures with Ellie and the challenges they will face together. Following this, Ellie reveals her dark past and how she'd killed her own father. She also pretends to be clueless about the poisoning of the food by Eora, just to get closer to Song. They both agree to form a partnership and start a party together. The game then moves slowly, and the game development group decides to launch another S-grade mission to compare the strengths of its members. From the game overlooking the group, Asura, Loki, and Grandfather propose to choose one member each for the mission. Asura chooses me, Loki selects Seong, and Grandfather also chooses Seong. The members then agree to participate in the mission. During the chaos of the mission, Hepetha's head takes the opportunity to receive an incredible award. Ellie asks Seong if he's willing to do another C-grade quest to awaken his first round, to which he confirms. Seong and Ellie then meet with the spiritualist, Yu Chairine, with whom he plans to complete the C-grade quest and have his first awakening before the main mission. When they visit Chairine, she confirms that she has 2 spots available and that she would be grateful to have a ranker grade player with them. Out of nowhere, a ranker, Mi, appears there also and joins them, saying that she wants to fight one last time with Seong before the mission starts. Seong confronts Mi about why she keeps getting in his way and following him. Mi challenges him to a competition, but Seong admits that he knows she is far better than him and would easily win. Ellie reminds him that they need to hurry back to the group, and Seong tells her that Mi is actually the magic swordsman. Ellie, a fan of Mi, asks for a signature but is refused. Seong consoles her, saying Mi is a battle junkie and thinks that the mission would have been easier without her. Later, Yu informs the group of an incoming horde of orcs. She assigns Mi to the vanguard and Seong to the right. Together, they manage to defeat all the orcs, and Mi is praised for her instant kill. Yu tells them to take a break and have lunch. Seong offers to switch with Yu and cook the meal. Mi praises Song's skill, and Song praises Mi before secretly poisoning her food. With her highly advanced skills, Mi realizes the food is poisoned but doesn't suspect Song, instead quietly telling him. Ellie sees them talking and realizes they will eventually fight, so she uses her magic to make Mi weak. Ellie moves close to Mi and confesses that she is like her, and whatever happens, she will fight with Song. Song agrees to fight with Mi, but chooses a private location and a 10-blow restraint to avoid delaying the mission. During the fight, Song sets a trap for Mi but falls into it himself, hitting Mi's knee and then striking her chin with his palm. Surprisingly, Song wins the fight against Mi despite not using a sword. Mi questions him about his hand-to-hand combat skills and why he didn't use a sword, to which he replies that he dropped it. After the fight, Mi ignores Song, and they part ways after completing their mission. Later, Song is offered Fermion extract by a woman who appreciates his work in the mission. Ellie, a magician, offers to buy it at a discount since she needs it more than Song. She also advises Song to upgrade their skills and gear for the upcoming S-grade mission. Following this, Song visits the Temple of Class Change and awakens as an enlightened swordsman. However, Jerry appears and informs him that the S-grade mission aims to give him a strong body, and he won't be able to use his abilities. Jerry also tells him that they must defeat the Demon King, and that the place is divided into 3 parts. Song will get treasures and extra life after completing the mission. As the mission starts, Song finds himself transformed into a princess, which surprises him. He also quickly realizes that the princess's stats are not useful for combat. However, he notices that his stats match those of a magician. Unfortunately, when a monster appears, Song is unsure whether he can defeat it with his current skills. Despite finding a small sword, he is temporarily stunned by a Dark Knight's voice and is unable to move. He understands that with his current abilities, his chances of survival are 0. Meanwhile, an observer notices that the possessed princess, Serena, is Song, and that he will not resist the monster's attack, leading to a potential mission failure and the death of both Serena and Song. However, the stun eventually wears off and Song's skills are converted into useful ones. His body moves on its own, using combat skills developed through belly and tap dance. Though Song manages to defeat the monsters with his newfound skills, he is still unsure how he will rescue the princess, as he has become her. He remembers Jerry's warning that the dungeon is only for high rankers and realizes that there is another level of the mission he has not seen. Nevertheless, Song perseveres and eventually hears the announcement that the princess rescue mission has been cleared. The other players are surprised to see the princess standing before them, not realizing that she is really Song in disguise. Despite his success, Song still feels uncertain about his new form and abilities, but resolves to keep pushing forward. After Song successfully clears the princess's rescue mission, the princess's knight Shin Ingram approaches her and expresses his relief that the princess is safe. However, the soldiers with him are ignorant and disrespectful towards the princess, prompting Shin to scold them. In order to hide his identity as a player, Song decides to behave as an NPC and takes the lead in the conversation. He asks about the people who were hurt in the ambush attack, but Shin assures him that they have a strong group of soldiers. Song then mentions a mission called Rune Blade, which Shin tells him is a legendary blade that requires the sacrifice of a nobleman to activate. Song realizes that Serena, the princess he is currently inhabiting, had awakened the blade and may need to sacrifice himself to activate it. Shin notices that the princess is not feeling well and advises him to take care of the royal body. Princess Serena then asks for Hansen's help as a magician to figure out their next move. Hansen suggests two options: finding the dispersed soldiers and working together to defeat the Demon King, or advancing to the center of the dungeon and eventually finding them. Serena orders everyone to follow the second option, threatening those who do not obey. She then asks Hansen to protect her, and they proceed to kill the monsters in their way. Serena decides to lead the way to avoid getting caught by Hetepha's leader, Muhan. In the present tense, the soldier refuses to let the princess lead the group, fearing that if she is injured, their morale will suffer. The princess attempts to convince him otherwise, saying that she would rather be injured than do nothing to save the world. Her words move the group, and they proceed forward. Along the way, they discover a trap that needs to be taken care of, and they realize that their mission is not just about killing monsters, but also about taking care of such obstacles. On the other side, the monsters arrive and a group of people, including me, fight them. After the fight, the princess praises me for her abilities, but she still feels she is lacking compared to Song and wants to challenge him to battle once more. As they march on, the princess begins to feel chilly and asks Hansen how much further they have to go. Hansen is unsure, but they soon arrive at a large void. They see monsters they have never encountered before, including Lich and the Hell King, and they know they cannot beat them. The princess orders the group to rest and wait for another squad, but the soldier becomes irritated and wants to get rid of her. While they eat, the princess considers killing all of the soldiers or committing suicide if they cannot defeat the monsters, so the rune blade cannot be used. After a while, the group hears noises and believes it is a surprise attack. However, they discover people fighting monsters inside the vault. They join in the fight, only to find out that the monsters are unharmed even after the intense attack. Hansen had initially thought that he could defeat the monsters with his skills and armor, but he soon realizes that he is unable to win. In response, the princess gives orders to Ingram to support the warriors and Hansen to contain the Lich, the demon character. Despite their efforts, it became clear that they would not be able to win the battle this way. Two soldiers attempted to flee, but the princess ruthlessly killed them, stating that she would forgive those who were defeated, but not those who were cowards and ran away. After this, all the soldiers began to play their roles more effectively. The princess then asked Hansen to do his part, which he did by containing the Lich. However, the Hell King is about to charge through the hallway. Suddenly, a person arrives and eliminates the Hell King. This is soldier Yi Han, who has been summoned by Hansen. After the battle is over, the soldiers discuss who should be put on the front line. Yu and Kim are worried about not getting a chance to be on the front line and earn points. The princess tries to talk to Yi Han, but he ignores her. The soldiers approach Yi Han, but he brushes them off and asks them to move ahead. They instigate him to be the vanguard, but he refuses, stating that if he became the vanguard, they will not be able to get the points that he has wished for so badly. Feeling insulted by the argument, Yi Han hangs one soldier with one hand and demands that he be shown respect and spoken to politely. The princess observes all of this and wonders if Yi Han is a real NPC or not. Yi Han skillfully blocks Mi's attacks with just 2 fingers, showing off his remarkable abilities. He impresses Mi, who acknowledges that only Song had fought with her in that way. However, Mi's group members accuse Yi Han of overpowering a rancor, making him angry. His eyes filled with an overwhelming killing intent that frightens the group members. Yi Han reveals that he is not a player or an NPC, but a god who has come to help them. When one soldier accuses him of being responsible for their plight, Yihan denies it and reveals that he was merely an onlooker. The group is still furious and tries to attack him, but Yihan tells them that he won't kill them, but will make them wish they were dead. After the fight, Yihan orders them to move ahead and instructs Hansen to open the door. However, only the imperial family can open it, so he needs Princess's help. Soldier initially resists following Yihan, but eventually has no choice but to comply. Princess approaches Yihan to gather information about him, but Yihan scolds her for her tone and warns her to be careful in her words. He reveals that he knows that the princess is actually a man. Song decides to ask Yihan about the conditions for getting out of the world they are in. Yihan tells him that they must survive until the end or get noticed by the gods to be chosen as the successor without completing the mission. Song asks Yihan if he would help to get him out, but Yihan refuses. Song questions why the gods chose this method instead of selecting the successor from the beginning. Yihan explains that the gods are not almighty and that they do not know everything. He believes that humans develop their true powers when they are put in extreme conditions. Yihan also states that the surviving ones are stronger, not necessarily the stronger ones. He believes that the gods choose the usable ones who have survived in these extreme conditions. Song appears to not be angry with Yihan's explanation, but secretly vows to take revenge on him one day. After this, the group gathers and proceeds to collect more points to complete the mission. Feeling that he is behind in the required points, Song bluffs with his team members that he would provide each of them with the Phoenix Feather after completing the mission of killing the Demon King. Listening to this, each of his team members gets excited and agrees to perform their best. They believe in the existence of the Phoenix Feather and think that they can sell it for a high price as it can revive a dead person and the players who have only 2 lives to play the game. Out of nowhere, when Song, disguised as the princess, announces to give the royal run blade to the highest contributor, everyone gets excited and decides to contribute to their fullest. Later, the NPCs, Sir Ungram and Hansen, approach the princess and ask her about the Phoenix Feather. As Song is well aware that he cannot lie to the NPCs, he tells them that he lied to others to keep them motivated for the battle and raise their fighting spirits. Pretending to be a princess, he commands his authority and makes them believe that he is worried about the safety of the people and can never hurt them. With these words from the princess, the NPCs agree to keep her lie as a secret and help her complete the mission. However, Song is well aware that he should get rid of the two before starting to kill people again. The scene then shifts to the battle place, where the demons in the group are battling. Ellie uses her magical ability to kill the demons and earn valuable mission points. On the other hand, Song as a princess can be seen looking over the battle and talking to Hansen. He is worried about Ungram and wants to get rid of him as soon as possible. He even decides to poison Ungram as he believes that he lacks the skills to battle against him. All of a sudden, Song pretends to have a headache and Ungram takes him to her chamber. Later, after the level is completed, Hansen gathers all of the group members at a place and tells them about the route to get to the Demon King. He also tells the Haite group that there is a dragon-like creature named Elder Hydra in one of the chambers, which is very dangerous. Hansen then informs the group about the character of Hydra and its powers. He mentions that the Elder Hydra has 4 necks and can use different powers separately. However, despite this, the team seems unfazed and decides to face the Hydra. Next, the team can be seen standing in front of the Hydra and being amazed, seeing its huge size. And after a few failed attempts made by other members of the team, Master Lee uses the special technique Flowing Stream and tries to redirect the attacks of the Hydra. Following Lee's footsteps, Mi also proceeds to use the same techniques and launches on the Hydra. She slashes her sword into the Hydra's neck and injures it. Sadly, in the process, she also dislocates her shoulder. To their dismay, the Hydra wakes up and starts spitting fire. Master Lee asks the rest of the group members to be aware of the close-range attacks and take care of themselves. In the meantime, Song also arrives there as a princess and keeps an eye on everything that is going around. He notices most of the traps being solved and only a few of them are active. All of a sudden, he vanishes from the place and one of the team members believes that the princess has been kidnapped. As soon as Ungram gets the news, he rushes to find the princess. He even curses himself for not taking care of the princess and neglecting his duty as a knight. Meanwhile, Song, possessed by the princess's body, is in a secluded area waiting for Ungram to arrive. He even pours some poison on a dagger and gets ready to attack Ungram when he arrives there. To make the kidnapping seem real, Song drinks a bottle of poison and starts feeling dizzy. Moments later, Ungrim reaches there, and after wondering about how the poison gets into the princess's body, he proceeds to carry her to the magicians for neutralizing it. On the way, Song opens his eyes and deduces that it's the best time to attack Ungrim and get rid of him. As Ungrim is more skilled and powerful than him, he could only defeat him in a close attack. With this, Song takes out the poisoned dagger and inserts it through Ungrim's body armor, impaling him badly. Ungrim is in shock and is trying to figure out how the princess can attack him. He also thinks that the princess might have been possessed by an evil spirit. However, before he could think of anything more, Song gets back to his feet and drinks the poison neutralizer. He then takes out his run blade and cuts through half of Ungrim's neck, killing him instantly. To make the situation look convincing, he then puts Ungrim's body inside the mouth of the dead monster and tries to make it look like an accident. However, after failing to hide the bloodstains, he tries to make a small wound on his stomach but forgets that his dagger is poisoned. Sadly, he also falls to the ground unconscious. Sometime later, one of the members of the Haete group finds the princess's body and immediately informs Hansen. Hansen urges them to take the body to the magicians and mourn the death of Ungrim. He is, however, unconvinced about a skillful knight like Ungrim getting killed by a monster. Hansen also takes a closer look at his wounds and deduces that Ungrim was killed by someone stronger than him. He, however, has no idea that the princess can do something like that. In the next scene, after the princess gets back to her senses, Hansen breaks the news of Ungrim's death to her. Despite being the one who killed Ungrim, Song as a princess pretends to feel sad about his death and cries for a bit of time, mourning his death. After the princess gets out of her chamber, she is approached by Master Li and informed about the loot that they obtained after killing the Elder Hydra. The princess is surprised to see the legend-level items inside the bag and decides to gift the items to the top contributors. She proposes to give the legendary spear to Kang Muhan and the armor to Mi. Despite Li agreeing to her decision, there arrives a priest, Kim Yoon, and opposes it. He informs the princess that after they complete that part of the mission, they are to return to the gaming world and should not make their enemies stronger than them. He also questions the princess about the phoenix feather and doubts its existence. He also doubts the princess being an NPC. Seeing Kim doubting her made promises, the princess gets enraged and nearly beheads him. She then asks Hansen to reveal the truth about the royal treasure captured within the Demon King's hands. Surprisingly, Hansen plays along with her lies and says that the phoenix feather actually exists and can be unveiled after defeating the Demon King. Following this, she gives the spear and armor as planned and also attributes the rest of the treasures fairly. Later, the princess calls one of the members of the group, Choi Chul-hung, urging him to complete a mission for her. She lies to him, telling him that to activate the run blade, he needs to sacrifice Hansen and then use it to kill the Demon King. Innocent Choi believes her and agrees to her plans. In the next scene, before the group enters the castle of the Demon King to face him, Li warns them about the Demon King's army and his powers. At this time, Song, as a princess, hands over a potion to Hansen, telling him that it is an energy booster. Hansen trusts her and has no idea that the bottle actually consists of poison. Soon, the battle with the Demon King begins and Hansen starts feeling weird. Using this opportunity, Choi appears from behind and beheads him. Seeing this, everyone in the group gets stunned. However, Choi tells them that he just completed his part of the story and will explain to them later. Next, the group continues fighting the undead monsters and proceeds to attack the Demon King. Meanwhile, the Demon King is surprised to see the high-level attacks of Kang and Mi. Soon, the princess gets the sealed broken run blade from Choi and heads toward Demon King. Here, we are shown a flashback where the grandfather is suggesting the Demon King get hit by the Hellfire spell directly. Back to the present, as the group is overpowering the Demon King, the princess decides to use this opportunity in her favor and begins the Hellfire spell. The Demon King moves toward the spell and gets killed after getting hit by it. After defeating the Demon King, the legendary items are unlocked and everyone is looking at them. Right then, an arrow comes flying toward the shelf, causing it to explode and reveal the bottom part, surprising everyone. The bottom part actually includes the vest, which can allow a player to change class and transform into an almighty Demon King. For a while, Song thinks of taking the vest but later backs away from it. The scene then shifts to the place where Song meets Jerry, who congratulates him for completing the mission with ease. Here, the former asks the latter if his activities can be traced by other players. In reply, Jerry mentions that he cannot share other players' information and that a secret god is keeping an eye on him all the time. Song is surprised to know this, and then remembers a box with the name Loki written on it. Later, he re-equips himself with the run blade and some poisons, using the gilds that he earned after completing the previous mission. However, Song gets shocked when Jerry tells him that they are to meet soon for another forced mission, as he believed that the previous mission was his last. Following this, Jerry teleports Song to the plaza, and as soon as he completes doing so, there arrives Loki. Loki seems upset at Jerry and mentions that he should not have opened up about the secret stalker. Elsewhere, Song decides to trade his extra mission points for guilds and walks toward a weaponsmith named Lulu. Song asks Lulu if he can transform the shape of the weapon into another and gets a no for an answer. He is surprised to see the run blade with Song and asks him how he got it in the first place. Later, Lulu offers that he can make another sword like the run blade only if Song will provide him with the required rare materials and with 500,000 guilds. As soon as Song orders the new one, Lulu makes it within seconds and hands it over. After getting the sword, Song decides to put the real run blade into his inventory and carry the fake along with him to avoid suspicion. At the same time, we see Choi and the other team members arguing with the receptionist about the reward that Serena, the princess, promised them in the game. Here, the receptionist replies that there is no player with the name Serena and that they have been duped. Hearing this, Choi gets enraged and asks the other players to gather money and find the betrayer at any cost. However, to his surprise, Song arrives there at the same time, carrying the fake run blade and handing it over to Choi, asking for 10 million guilds as promised. Right then, Ellie calls Song, and the two talk about their missions. During their conversations, they make a plan to complete the mission, The Grave of Crazed Magician, and Ellie reveals to him that she has found a way to kill a large group of monsters. Song also accepts her invitation and joins her group to complete the mission. Before departing, Ellie tells him that they will have a third member of their group but refuses to reveal their identity. In the next scene, Song is at a weapons store, trying out different swords and techniques. Seeing him do so, everyone else assumes that he must be a high ranker. Right then, when Song is about to buy a shield for himself, Mi arrives there and questions his choice. Later, out of nowhere, Mi asks Song to be the leader of his party and lead the team to different missions. She also tells him that her group will let him use all the loot he wants. Listening to this offer, Song also falls for it and agrees, since he was also searching for a powerful and skillful ally. However, Mi put forward a condition that he has to spar with her once a month to test her skills. Next, Song brings Mi with him to meet Ellie and tells her that she will also be a member of the team. Though Ellie seems surprised at first, she agrees and introduces her company a young boy, Jong-won, titled as a murderer. After the introduction, Song pulls out the map of the grave and the crazed magician and begins narrating the plan. Here, Ellie suggests a different route and claims that she has the ability to kill the monsters all at once. Moments later, the whole group is teleported to the grave of the crazed magician. Surprisingly, when Song asks Ellie about her special ability, she replies that it is not an ability of hers, but a monster cannon. To test the weapon, Song suggests he and Mi attract the monsters and Ellie fires the cannon to finish most of them. Following this, they test the weapon successfully and Song is really impressed by its performance. However, Ellie mentions that the weapon takes about 5 minutes to load and is very expensive to operate. Here, it is revealed that Jang-won is an ally created by Ellie for her benefit, and that he is too dependent on her. Even when Song asks him to accompany him, he denies it and mentions that he wants to stay beside Ellie. Ellie then tells Song that he will make Jong-won show his powers in the next part of the mission. After this, the group arrives at the other part of the grave and is waiting for Jong-won to perform his best. Song seems worried about himself being able to only use half of his dancing skills. Curious to improve it, he asks Ellie if she has a magic book related to increasing her skills. To his luck, Ellie provides him with one, and he decides to use them alongside Talisman to activate and complete his task. In the meantime, they arrive near a group of approaching monsters, and Mi warns the group to get ready to face the monsters. Surprisingly, Ellie takes out a potion and feeds it to Jang-won, enticing his skills and instigating him to battle against the monsters. As soon as Jang-won drinks a potion, he rushes towards the monsters and begins killing them gruesomely one by one. Song and Mi both get shocked to see this and doubt if he has split personalities. They start getting worried if Jang-won can even differentiate between the ally and their enemies. Song then goes to Ellie and asks her what she fed Jang-won to make him so dangerous. Ellie just replies that she used a potion named Berserker to make Song go all in. Despite such unpredictable behavior of Jang-won, Song decides to keep him on the team and use him to guard their backs, protecting Ellie. Mi is still not convinced by Song's decision and keeps on questioning the same thing. However, Song does not reply and can be seen making plans to use Jang-won for his benefit and make him go berserk with the help of the potion and everything else Ellie did. To his good luck, Jung-won also takes him as a trustful person, as he is ready to accept him after witnessing the ruckus. The scene then shifts to Lucifer, the only overseer of the mission world. Loki berates him for taking care of a lot of the world and asks him to take a rest. When Lucifer asks him about his presence, he replies that he is there to get some information about the mission world. Hearing this, Lucifer tells him that they are soon organizing martial art even for the worlds, and now 3 worlds are to participate in the forced mission. Trying his best to make his preferred world the best candidate for this mission, Loki destroys one of the worlds among the 3 and leaves the place. He is certain that Lucifer has no choice left other than to choose the mission world for the forced mission and believes that Song will impress him in the competition. On the other hand, when Song and the rest return to the mission world, they are surprised to find that a patch has been announced where they were away. Mi then mentions that they have only half a month left for the competition to begin, and they still need to improve their skills. Following this, Ellie takes care of Song's inventory and with his permission, sells the unused items for 1.5 million guilds to Lulu. In return, Song asks for the book containing the breakdancing steps, as he is willing to improve his skills in dancing and use them while battling. After this, Song visits the schoolhouse and asks for unique books related to kills. The bookkeeper is surprised to get such a request and provides Song with around 50 books. As Song is looking for something specific, he does not like all of the books and only takes 3 of them for 1 million guilds. As soon as he begins reading them for some time, he gets a new title as Devoted Reader. Song is surprised to get the title and believes that he must be one of the few to complete the book-related skills. Next, he reaches the place where the martial arts competition is about to kick off. The host quickly counts Song in and asks him to prepare himself for the fight. Trying to hide his identity from Choi, he changes his dress to a suit and participates in the competition. All the other participants look at him in surprise as none of them are so perfectly dressed. Soon, the match begins and everyone prepares to attack Song. However, to their dismay, Song uses his book to knock down an opponent, breaking his jaw. Seeing this, all the others are afraid to attack him. Song is also amazed to see such power generated from the book. He then begins to play along with the music and begins attacking all the other participants like a form of dance. His opponents are surprised to see him fighting so effortlessly, like in a choreographed fight scene. After discovering his new ability to defeat his opponents, Song does not leave even one and punishes them. The other players try to attack Song in the group, but to no avail. Later, the winner of the martial arts preliminary round is declared, and Song is one of them. He requests the host to immediately begin the next round, and he agrees. Song easily wins the next round and proceeds to another. However, this time he's worried about meeting Mi, Ellie, or Jang-won in the following rounds and thinks about revealing his identity before that. The scene then shifts to Ateffa's secret meeting room, where Choi is still flustered about not finding the one who took the rune blade from him. Other high rankers decide to help him find the culprit and ultimately form a secret alliance to protect their city from possible invaders. Moving on, Song meets with Jerry at a bar, and he is informed that the upcoming forced mission will not be a dungeon clearing mission but a survival game. He suggests that he needs to survive for a month to clear the mission and claim the points. Though the mission is ranked as only a B-class mission, Song believes that there are many things to be taken care of. In addition, Jerry mentions two other conditions of the game: killing another user to get food and drink and creating alliances with others. Jerry also states that the mission is to be held on an island and the gods created the mission to test humanity, bonds, and other factors. After giving Song the required information, Jerry wishes him luck and hopes to meet him after a month. In a flash, Song is teleported to the island and he wears combat armor to fight for the mission. Right then, Song notices a ruckus and believes that it is the exact mission that he was looking for. He then looks at his mission screen and scrolls through the available options. Among the options, he believes that the evil one, in which he has to kill 666 people in a month, is the one which suits him the most. Following this, he takes out a bottle of poison and drops it into the river, hoping that people will drink it and die, helping him to complete the mission. Later on, with over 5 days of food and drinks left, Song climbs up a tree and waits for someone to arrive by the river. To his good luck, in no time, two groups arrive, carrying weapons in their hands. Song believes that it is interesting and hopes that the two groups battle. Sadly, they reconcile with each other and form a larger group with 9 members. After the merger, one of the members suggests that as they now have enough water to drink, they should begin searching for food. Everyone agrees to it, and they finally form 3 groups with 3 members in each of them. Among the 3 groups, 2 are to go and search for food, while the remaining one has to stay around and guard the place. After this, the 2 groups part ways in different directions and begin looking for the maps to find some food. Sadly, despite searching for a considerable time period, one of the food-searching group fails to hunt any animal or find even a berry. They return to the pond empty-handed and sad. One of the members of the returning group even yells at the guarding group for not preparing for their night stay. He mentions that they should have cleaned the place and set up a campfire. While the 2 groups are arguing, the 3rd group arrives there carrying a dead rabbit. Fortunately now, the whole group has something to eat and is happy about it. On the other hand, Song can be seen roaming around the island and setting up traps to complete different side missions. After completing 13 of his sub-missions, he decides to return to the lake and look into the progress of his traps. There he notices the people fighting over the rations. He smiles and keeps on looking at them, sitting at the top of a tree. Song is also impressed by one of the members, seeing him use his brains to check on the inventory of others. One annoying girl tries to hide her ration for the future, but sadly gets caught. After the matter is solved, one of them prepares the rabbit for dinner, and the group enjoys the food. Later at night, the group decides to make 4 pairs and guard the surroundings turn by turn. Meanwhile, Song, sitting on a branch of a tree, notices a few campfires around and decides to carry out his evil mission. He rushes to the nearby group where around 10 players have gathered. Sadly, none of them were guarding the place, and Song immediately pulls out his sword to complete his mission. He kills most of the members and leaves a girl among the group to witness the ruckus. With hope, he leaves behind human traps to fulfill the requirements of his submissions. Fortunately, his traps capture 3 of the humans and he completes yet another submission. Following this, the sun starts to rise, and Song notices that some of the other missions are already completed by another player. He then deduces that there is yet another player as diligent as him. At the same time, he hears a noise coming from nearby and proceeds to find the cause. Here, the other player who is fulfilling the same mission as Song is revealed, and the 2 try to find one another. With his special skill, the other player notices that there is something near him and tries to launch an attack. However, Song dodges the attack and hides behind a tree. With the failure, the other player decides to escape using a smoke bomb. But to his bad luck, before he can do so, Song appears from behind and stabs him to death. With the killing, Song now has over 5 million guilds and enough food in his inventory. The scene then shifts to Mi, completing her mission on the same island. She sets her location to the nearby island and believes that Zhang Wang will be the perfect character to complete the evil villain's mission. On the way to the mountain, a group of boys try to belittle her and tease her. Enraged, she pulls out her swords and begins fighting them. After killing each one of them, she deduces that her sword skills are of low level and that she has to improve them. She then goes to an abandoned cave and decides to train in isolation for a month. Fast forward to 10 days, Song starts noticing some people dying because of the poisonous lake water. With more people gathering around the lake, he takes out his magic book and activates a talisman spell to attack them. The group of people tries to defend his attack, but to no avail. They are eventually killed by the fire, and at last, Song appears in front of them, wearing metal armor. He kills the majority of the people, and after killing about 8 of them, he pretends to have a team behind him and asks them to leave. Assuming that a few of the players will follow him, he rushes towards the forest but becomes sad after finding no one behind him. However, Song reveals that he is doing all this to plant the seed of conflict and suspicion among the participants. The following day, Song can be seen watching over the people gathering rations in the forest. Here, it is revealed that he is the one who spread all those rations on the ground to complete his good missions. He looks at the murderer's village and mentions that now he has completed the good missions, there should be no problem in carrying out the evil ones. Meanwhile, the group that was introduced at the beginning of the mission is again shown, and is worried about the recent death of their 8 members. At the same time, the leader of the group, Lee Ju-ye, suggests that they attack the murderer group with their full ability and defeat them before they can plan another powerful attack. Some of the members try to oppose the decision, but have to eventually accept it. In the next scene, we get to know that Lee became the leader of the group with the help of Song. Song actually helped her find food for her group and make her one of the important members whom everybody would listen to. Right then, Song arrives to meet Lee and hands her a map. Here he reveals that he selected her as an ally because she is easy to manipulate and control. He provides her with the map of the murderer's group location. Lee takes the map to her group and plans to ambush the murderer group at night. At night, the whole group can be seen nearby the murderer's group camp, ready to split an attack. As suggested by Song, Lee asks her group to split in half and urges a part to attack and another to guard the surroundings for any escapees. The group members believe that splitting the group would decrease their strength, but Lee is in no mood to listen to them. Meanwhile, Song is looking over them, and while he is convinced that everything is going as planned, he walks away to complete his other missions. Song then returns to the base camp of Lee's group and attacks the 2 members guarding the place. While the 2 guards are talking about getting enough food after defeating the murderer's group, he attacks them with a lightning spell and kills them. Far away, a lady notices him using the spell and deduces that he is none other than a 5th circle powerful magician. After killing them, he sets off to attack the other 9 groups as planned. On the other hand, the so-called armored leader of Lee's group kills the ranker of the murderer group and believes that they are now out of danger. However, through one of his team members, he gets to know that more than 100 of the murderer group members have escaped. Listening to this, he gets enraged at Lee, as she was in charge of guarding the surroundings. Following this, when the group is about to return to their camp, they notice smoke oozing out from their camp. When they reach their camp, they find everyone left to guard the camp dead, and that all of their food storage is empty. While trying to figure out the person who exactly attacked their group, the armored leader deduces that it can't be the escapees from the murderer group, as the distance is quite long. He then asks his group members to search around and find the attackers. Meanwhile, Lee's group finds a pile of food, and despite one of the team members refusing her to take the food to their camp, she orders other members to do it. She even acts like a powerful leader and yells at the disobeying members. She acts rudely with her group members and even tells them that their inventory will be searched if they try to steal the food. Because of this, some of the group members get enraged and it gets split. Eventually, more than 12 members decide to leave the group in the forest. Next, we see Song arriving at the border of the forest and checking up on his progress. He finds that he has completed more than 200 missions in the span of 10 days and is really happy with the progress. Suddenly, an arrow flies past his ear and lands in front of him, with a group surrounding him from all sides. To their surprise, Sung fights them easily and defeats them in a go. After the fight, the group agrees to talk to him and Song suggests they talk over a nice meal. Song talks to the group and offers them a delicious meal from his inventory. The attacking group then feels sad for troubling Song in the first place and takes him as an angel who has arrived there to pull them out of starvation. Moreover, to complete his evil plan, he asks them about the map of the wasteland and the group that lives there. Bound by his helpful behavior, the group provides him with information about the groups from the wasteland and reveals that the ranker and a member of the Hetefa, Kang Muhan, is among the groups. They also mention that there are two groups in the area that they saw fight over a boulder. Hearing this, Song deduces that there is something special about the boulder. For the information shared, Song suggests the group enter the forest and join Lee's group for their survival, and surprisingly they agree. Next, when Song reaches the boulder, he notices the two groups border of the wasteland and the forest of darkness attacking each other. Using this opportunity, Song enters the boulder wearing camouflage and finds a secret path there. As the secret path would teleport him to a different location, he decides to use it sometime later. But to his bad luck, before he could return from there, Mr. Unsong, a ranker, spots him and attacks him with his bow and arrow. Having no other way out, Song jumps into the secret path to save his life and keep his identity hidden. After Song is gone, Unsong tastes his blood and deduces that the opponent is a ranker like him, and also assumes him to be Kim Hyun. He then returns to the group and tells them everything and asks them to get ready to hunt Kim Il-hun. On the other hand, Song enters the cave and reaches another dungeon, the volcanic cave. Because of the fire and high temperature around, his stats drop by 10%. Suddenly, a fire dog appears there and Song decides to use his affinity fire skills on it. While he is fighting with the fire dog, Unsong and his group search for him. As soon as Song hears their voices, he runs away from there and wears a mask to hide his identity from them. Luckily, he rushes into the dark cave before the group can catch him. Meanwhile, a group of 4 people enter the forest of death and state that whoever has entered the place has never returned back. To their bad luck, as soon as they step inside, they are hit by a stunning spell and killed. Here, it is revealed that Ellie is the one doing so, using her powerful cannon gun. We get to know that she followed Song's suggestion to change her job as a clerk as she is interested in buffs and debuffs. After killing the group successfully, she notices that the nearby volcano is about to explode and decides to move far from the place as soon as possible. In the next scene, Song is still being chased by Unsong and his group inside the volcanic cave dungeon. Because of the continuous chase for over 2 days, Song feels dehydrated and tired. At this moment, Unsong realizes that the person they are chasing is not Yun. He also mentions that they cannot return back to the village as the portal they entered to the cave is one way, and to get out of the portal they require special power. After a bit of chasing, Unsong manages to hit Song with a fired bullet and knocks him down. However, Song also manages to hit Unsong with a poisoned dagger. Luckily, before Song gets captured, the boss of the volcanic cave, the volcanic serpent, emerges and warns them to make any noise. The serpent then gives them a mission to find the core of the blaze and also mentions that he will reward them if they do so. Soon, a safety barrier is activated and Song starts reading a book to complete his target of reading destined papers. Right then, Kang Muhan also arrives there and yells at Unsong and the group for leaving the village behind without guarding. At this time, he also notices Song wearing the mask and fails to recognize him. After that, Muhan sees a man and calls him and comes to know that he is Kim. Song thinks that the matter is getting worse as the rivals Muhan and Il-hun are in the same place. Unsong then makes it clear that he chased Song, assuming him to be Il-hun. At the same time, Muhan and Il-hun start arguing, and to ease the situation, Song proposes a peace treaty while they are inside the cave. At first, Muhan's subordinates laugh at him, but when Song stands alongside Il-hun, they agree to the treaty. Following the agreement of the treaty, Hyun suggests to know each other more, but Song refuses his proposal. After this, they decide to look around the place and go on their own search for the core of the blaze. Before departing, Hyun displays his buff skills to Song and leaves. Witnessing the skills, Song deduces that Hyun is of very high rank, and it's the reason why Muhan is stepping back from attacking him in the first place. Eventually, Song also walks away on his own and activates his map-making skills to create the volcanic's cave map. Soon, he creates a map and approaches the serpent to find an exit. The serpent tells him that there is an exit, but is unknown if a human can pass through it. Listening to this, Song assumes that he will not be able to complete the evil mission if he remains trapped in the cave. He then decides to make it big and gather rewards from wherever he is. On the other other hand, Muhan and his group are trying their best to complete the dungeons and collect rewards and loot. During this, they collect enough loot compared to Hyun's group and are happy about it. When Unsung informs Muhan that he hasn't seen Ghost, aka Song, around, Muhan asks him to divert his attention away from him and focus on the work. Meanwhile, Song approaches Hyun's group and requests that they provide him with their supplies. In return, he agrees to give them 26 high-grade essences. Hearing this, Hyun and his group get surprised as they had never thought that a single player can collect such a number of essences on their own. Hyun agrees to his offer and gifts him with an additional buff. After Song departs, the group contemplates for a while and deduces that Song is actually after the boss monster to get the essence of Hellfire. In the next scene, Song is standing in front of the Knight of Apocalyptic Flames and is ready for the attack. The Knight chases him around and is determined to kill the attacker. To make the Knight feel tired and step on the traps he has set, Song runs away, causing the Knight to follow him. After a while, Song stops and heals himself, drinking a potion. He then uses his dancing skills to surprise the Knight with his steps and lands a harsh blow on him. Following this, he also manages to dodge the Knight's attack and chop off his head, completing the mission. Song then obtains the essence of the Hellfire as a reward and accepts it before returning to Hyun and Muhan. Later, when he returns to Hyun and Muhan, they seem angry at him for wasting so much time and showing up late. Hyun then informs him that they have less than 3 hours to complete the mission and get out of the dungeon. Here, it is revealed that Song actually passed out after the fight and wasted much of their precious time. Listening to this, he wonders about the time remaining for the mission and is worried about how he's going to kill the remaining 130 plus people to complete his evil mission. In the next scene, Muhan approaches the serpent and informs him that he has managed to gather around 100 of the flame essences and other potions for him. With the effort, the serpent becomes happy and asks Muhan to choose any 4 of the items from his inventory. Surprisingly, Muhan asks Unsung to choose one of the 4 items and believes that he can become the face of their group in the near future. After this, the serpent decides to fulfill one of Muhan's wishes. However, when Muhan asks him to kill his opponents, he refuses the request and mentions that he cannot kill anyone who worked for him. Next, Hyun's group and Song also submit the collected items and get rewarded. Muhan and Hyun are shocked to see Song holding the essence of Hellfire. The serpent also becomes elated to get the essence and allows him to choose any 3 items from his inventory. After thinking for a while, Song selects a set of clothes and also requests the serpent to talk in private. The serpent also agrees, and here, Song asks him to kill 400 other people and help him complete the mission. As soon as Song tells him this, the serpent comes out of the cave and starts spitting out fire on them indiscriminately. Seeing this, Muhan gets angry and confronts Song for using the serpent for his personal benefit. Song, however, refuses to have used the serpent to kill humans. Despite this, Muhan still gets enraged and proceeds to attack him. He also asks Unsung to capture Hyun and his group and eliminate them if they ever try to escape. Surprisingly, to avoid the battle with Muhan, Song tries to run away. To his bad luck, Muhan also follows him and is not ready to leave him at any cost. He uses his spear to attack Song and also manages to injure him a little. Song is shocked to see such power being released by Muhan and just keeps running away. Once, he tries to block the attacks, but to no avail. Luckily, when Muhan is about to land a final blow to kill him, Mi appears there and stops Muhan's attack. She seems to recognize Song despite him wearing a mask and asks Muhan to leave him alone. Muhan tries to convince her, telling her that Song conducted a sin worthy of his death, but she is in no mood to believe him. Annoyed, Muhan walks away, leaving the two there. After Muhan leaves, Mi suggests Song take a rest as the mission is about to be over. Hearing this, Song immediately checks his killing status and notices that all of his missions are over and he is transported to meet Jerry. Jerry congratulates him for completing the mission and also states that he is really impressed by his performance. Soon, they calculate the points that Song has collected in the mission and it turns out to be around 214,000 points. Jerry informs him that these points can allow him to upgrade an item to legend grade. At this time, when Song asks Jerry to increase the grade and use it on the run blade, the latter replies that the run blade is already a rare item. The upgrade may only degrade its level. With this, Song decides to use this option on his mask, and Jerry turns it into an elite grade. Impressed with the performance and upgrades in the stats, Jerry also provides Song with yet another title, the Villain. The scene then shifts back to normal, where Jerry is sitting on a chair in front of Mi, Ellie, and Jungwon. Here, he reveals to everyone that he is actually a villain and during the last mission has killed and betrayed many people. Listening to this, Ellie is a bit confused but does not show him on the face. She pretends to forgive him and continues to accept him as a member of their group. However, Mi, on the other hand, informs him that she will need some time to think. Afterward, Song can be seen using the guilds and rewards to learn new skills and to be better than others. He decides to learn the copy skill and the aura skill to merge his combat skills and magic power. Though learning both of these skills is impossible for a normal player, Song learns it with ease and becomes one of the most powerful players in the game. Back to the competition, Muhan is worried about having more players in the arena. Right then, he notices Mi talking to Song, aka Ghost, wearing the mask. He immediately gets enraged and proceeds to attack Song with a spear, but Mi stops him in the middle of the attack. When Muhan asks her if she knows this player, she replies that she is with him on the same team. This makes Muhan surprised and he wonders how the two can be on the same team. Soon, the host of the competition arrives here and suggests the players get ready for the next round. He also mentions that there will be a stick drawing event to select a lucky player to advance to the next rounds without battling. To everyone's surprise, as Song has worked on his luck stats, he wins the event 2 times and reaches the final alongside Kong Muhan, Mi, and the guest. At this moment, Muhan wants to fight against Song and the latter also accepts the challenge. Next, the host announces the beginning of the battle and informs them that if at any point in the fight they are judged incompetent, the winner will be decided. The battle begins and Muhan attacks Song with his spear. However, he is unknown of Song's abilities and skills. On the other hand, Song has also gathered enough information about Muhan's fighting technique and his skill to use the spear. During the fight, Muhan is surprised by the ghost's ability to block his attacks. Later in the fight, Song makes Muhan chase him and uses his magic book technique to hit him hard. Following this, because of the explosion spell and hit spell, Muhan is injured badly and loses the fight. At the same time, when Mi fights with the guest, she defeats him with a single blow, chopping off the opponent's head with closed eyes. The final battle is now between Mi and Song. Song deduces that Mi does not care about evil or good characters and can only be impressed by their skills. He now has to win her trust, displaying his skills. He also states that as they already plan to participate in a duel once a month, it is a great opportunity for them. Mi also mentions that she has trained day and night after the first defeat and is ready to battle him. Soon, Mi launches her first attack but gets easily blocked. However, after some time, Song faces problems determining her moves and attacks. When Mi attacks with one of her best spells, Sea Blade, Song uses the Sword Spirit to reflect it. He then uses his B-boying skill to kick her sword and hit her with the magic book. After the first hit, Mi is hurt and decides to proceed with her best move. She's also phased when Song does not move and remains still without preparing to block her attack. Sadly, when she is about to hit him with her sword, she gets distracted by the trap set by Song and gets her sword trapped. Using this opportunity, Song activates his ballet dancing skills and goes behind her, placing his run blade right on her neck. With this, Song is declared the winner of the competition, with Mi in second place and Muhan in third. All of the winners are provided with a little pouch and a token as a gift. At first, Song is sad to get such a small gift, but when he finds out the importance of the token and its powers, he is really impressed. The golden token is supposed to allow him to own a building in the town with different taxes and other benefits in the new city. In the next scene, Song meets with Mi, Jongwon, and Ellie to discuss the possibilities and opportunities in the new city. Ellie believes that the high-ranking positions are supposed to be for rankers and to investigate a battle between normal people and low-rankers. Hearing this, Song suggests they increase their group strength and add more people to their group. To achieve this, he asks Jun Wong to search for people with mental issues and especially the low-rankers based on their skills and intelligence. Jun Wong asks Song if he is actually talking about the mentally ill players and gets a yes in reply. After this, he asks Mi to find some players that match her quality. Mi gets surprised at first and later mentions that she will probably search around for 4 to 5 players of her rank. On the other hand, Song urges Ellie to read the market and find the most valuable and rare item. Following this, the group disperses and each member proceeds with their assigned task. After this, to buy a building in his name, Song visits the nearby city riding a horse. Sadly, when he reaches there, the people there do not allow him to enter and inform him that it is an unexplored city and all of them are NPCs. Song also does not argue with them and just prepares to walk away from there, thinking that he will return the next day with Mi. Sadly, when he is about to return, a group of Japanese people surround him and ask about his origin. Song replies to them that he is a Korean and is proceeding towards his city, thinking that if they allow him to return, their city will be revealed. The Japanese group prepares to attack him. Without wasting any time, Song pulls out his run blade and chops off one head of his opponent. He then devises an evil plan to treat all the NPCs as he did in the survival game. Next, we see that Song has captured and hanged all of the Japanese group members by a rope to a tree. He then tells them that whoever will provide him with the information about their city and the ways to get there, he will release them. For a moment, no one speaks a word, compelling Song to pull out a knife and threaten everyone. As soon as he pulls out the knife, one of the members gives him some information and gets released. After this, Song gives the option to provide different information compared to the first one and get released. Here, Song finds out that all of the Japanese players are connected to a guild and that he should not worry about them much. Song then releases a player, Shingo, and begins digging the ground. Seeing him digging the ground, others believe that he is preparing to bury them alive. However, Song just puts them inside the pit and covers them up to their neck, leaving them to a passerby to rescue. Before leaving, Song feeds them some food and walks away. In the next scene, Muhan and his guild members are discussing the supplies they have and the ways to collect more. However, at the same time, surprising everyone, Song enters the room, wearing the mask and banging his head on the desk. This makes Muhan angry and he yells at Song. To Muhan's dismay, Mi emerges from behind and is on Song's side. Following this, Muhan asks the two to get to the point, compelling Song to read information about the other cities lying nearby them. At first, Muhan does not believe it, but later thinks that there is no point for the ghost, aka Song, to lie to him. He also assumes that he can find out the truth if he wants. Soon, Song suggests that they battle with other cities rather than battling and conducting internal conflicts. Outside, Mi asks Song if the Japanese people really attacked him, and he replies with a yes. At the same time, the former reveals the second awakening that she achieved while visiting the Temple of Class Change. Song is surprised to hear this, and he also thinks about his own awakening. Next, we see Song at the temple, asking the priest to give him the power of the Earth Swordsman. Despite having other options on the plate, Song chooses this one because he wants to excel as an elite swordsman. The priest then grants his wish, and his stats get immediately increased by 25 points. At last, after reviewing his newly added skills, Song deduces that he should now be careful about people trying to hide their identity in their second awakening like Mi. Meanwhile, Kenshin, a rank 3rd member of the Divine Sea Guild, approaches his leader, Ryosuke, and expresses his concern about the lost members. Listening to this, Ryosuke asks his group to be aware of the monsters or outsiders attacking the city. He also mentions that as they will have more second awakened members by the next day. Waiting for a day for the missing members' arrival will be good. Right then, another member enters the room and tells everyone that he saw a person from another city. Back to King Muhan. His subordinate confirms the existence of another city and asks him to act soon. As soon as he says so, Muhan prepares a group of 80 high-ranking members, including warriors, archers, and mages, and proceeds toward the location. Surprisingly, Song and Mi have also joined the group after Song tells about the second awakening to Muhan secretly. After walking for a bit of time, Muhan's group and Ryosuke's group meet face-to-face and talk to each other. While Ryosuke and Muhan are talking about peace, Kenshin intervenes in the conversation and proceeds to attack Song, believing that he is the one who has taken his friends hostage. To his dismay, Song blocks his attack with ease, and Mi also joins him. Later, the battle is stopped and Muhan and Ryosuke shake hands to maintain peace among the groups. Just with a simple handshake, Ryosuke finds out that Muhan and a few of the other members of the opponent's group have already achieved their second awakening and are very strong compared to others. He then asks for some potion as his hand is in pain because of the powerful handshake made by Muhan. On the other hand, the second awakened people in Muhan's guild in Korea are only 48 in number. Muhan then suggests Baekwoo work on improving the number of high-ranking players in the group. In the next scene, Song can be talking to the low-class beggars and players, trying his best to persuade them and bring them to his side. He decides to use one of Hyun's skills to make people believe his words and depend on him. Following this, the scene shifts to the mission department where we are introduced to Lee Sung-gyun, the leader of the 4th Legion of Legend Regiment. Here we see someone keeping an eye on the legendary regiment and getting surprised. After seeing Song buy a potion for himself despite possessing immense power. With his special skill, Hanzo finds that Song is much more powerful than him and decides to follow him. Hanzo then notices him leaving on a horse and rushes behind him. After a while, Song arrives at the place where he had kept the Japanese group hostage and buried. He gives them some food and asks them to cooperate with him. When Shing talks back to him and refuses to follow his orders, Song kicks him hard with his shoes and also pours water on the wounds. To everyone's surprise, Hanzo can be seen keeping his eye on Song's activities and confronts him. Before he can do anything to Song, the latter chops off his legs, compelling him to redo his move and move 5 to 10 meters away. However, he again shows up and flees the place. As he flees, Song realizes that he only has 5 days to come up with a story and hide about keeping Japanese people hostage. In the next scene, Hanzo reaches the city and meets Ryosuke, informing him about the condition of the missing citizens from his city. He also mentions that the masked man is the one who did it and suggests that they should take revenge against the Korean guild. Though Ryosuke asks his men to calm down and investigate the matter at first, later, he sends his subordinate to gather their guild members and guard the entrances to their city. He is, however, in disbelief that a treaty between them is now disturbed. Later, a representative from Japan, Ruhai, arrives in Korea and asks about their missing citizens. He also asks Muhan for his assistance in finding the culprit. However, when Muhan mentions the masked man, Ruhai immediately speaks out about him and requests Muhan to hand him over to them. Listening to this, Unsong gets enraged and calls Ruhai a false accuser. At the same time, the ghost, aka Song, arrives there and reveals one of the hostages from the Japanese group. As soon as Ruhai sees her, he immediately recognizes her. Song uses the opportunity to reveal that Japan is trying to start a conflict and go to war with them. He then talks to Ruhai and punches him hard, compelling him to retreat. Right then, we are shown a flashback where Song brings the Japanese girl Yukiko to Muhan and tells him that she wants to say something to him. He then introduces her as one of the baits that Japan wanted to use against them. Song also makes up a story that the Japanese noticed him while they were chasing Yukiko and wanted to kill him as he is the only one who knows their reality. He also states that Japan wants to go to war with them. Having no other options, Muhan compares the information with his subordinates and agrees to it. Yukiko also confesses it and mentions that she is ready to be a witness. Back in Japan, Ruhai returns and talks to Ryosuke about Korea chasing him out and preparing for a way. Hearing this, Ryosuke immediately agrees to prepare for an army and get ready for war. After the announcement, Kin Shen, one of the members of the Japan Divine Sea Group, visits a secret prison and informs him about the war and the preparations. The mysterious person suggests he controls all things and the consequences before starting a war. In the following scene, while the Korean army is guarding their border, the Japanese army appears from nowhere and attacks them. Hanzo also shows himself and proceeds to battle against Choi. Luckily, Choi manages to block the attack and reflect it back to Hanzo using his second awakening powers. When Kin Shen also teams up with Hanzo, Muhan comes from behind and starts fighting against the two. However, as the Japanese team's plan was only to ambush them, they retreat. After the war, Song meets with Muhan and belittles him for not being able to capture a single member of the Japanese guild. Enraged, Muhan directs his group members to prepare for a full-fledged battle and also seeks help from Song. Muhan then asks him to ask Mi to lead a 100 men's ranker group. At first, Song hesitates but later agrees to help. Song then goes directly to meet Mi and tells her about the offer to lead a group of rankers. To his surprise, she immediately accepts the proposal and expresses her excitement to lead the group. Hearing this, Song deduces that she is not normal, but a lion in a human face, who is ready to kill people without mercy. Following this, Song visits Ellie and asks her if he can take Jongwon with him to the Korean border. He tells her that the border is safe and will have no effect on Jongwon. To his good luck, Ellie agrees to let Jongwon go with him. Fast forward a week, and both Japan and Korea have finished their preparations for a full-fledged war against each other. Reluctantly, after being repeatedly attacked by Korea's army, Ryosuke gives permission for the war. On the other hand, Muhan also talks with Baekwoo and gets the information that the Legend Regiment is ready to help them in the battle, alongside the East Mobility and the Magic Group. He also mentions that Muhan is supposed to lead a high rankers group while Mi leads the 100 men group. The following day, with the sun rising up, the battle between the two cities begins. Baekwook stands up on top of the tower and has the ability to instantly connect with his soldiers and alter formations during the war. Muhan faces head-on with the Japanese army and defeats them easily. Song is surprised to see Muhan fighting with such ease with the soldiers. Similarly, Mi also battles using her sword and killing her opponents with one single move. More Japanese soldiers approach to attack Mi with the purpose of outnumbering her, but to no avail. Mi now believes that the Japanese ones are weak and not even a half-quarter of Song's ability. With their group losing, Kenshin asks his group to fall back and reorganize their formation. Meanwhile, Baekwoo urges the magicians to prepare for their spell and orders the group to fall back, hoping to bring the opponents closer. Fortunately, Kenshin's group falls into the trap and follows the Korean team only to get surrounded from all sides without any escape. While Song uses the water, wind, and lightning spells at once to attack the group, Mi-rae gets ready with the 100-men squad. However, in the middle of the battle, Mi feels like battling with a different opponent and leaves the group for Song. She then battles against one of the skilled fighters from the Japanese squad, Uchida. Uchida tries to attack Mi with his powerful spell, but surprisingly, his attacks get reflected every single time. At the same time, Ryosuke enters the battlefield and asks his soldiers to retreat. He believes that they are destined to lose, but wants to keep the remaining members of his group safe and alive. He rushes to Uchida and urges him to fall back, instigating Mi to fight against him. Listening to the humiliation, Mi gets enraged and rushes toward Ryosuke with a double sword attack. Ryosuke gets surprised about how someone can be so powerful, as he has never faced someone like this before. Unfortunately, on his way back, Uchida is confronted by Song and he challenges a battle. Though Uchida is trying to retreat, he accepts the challenge and gets ready for the fight, hoping that Song is a normal opponent. Following this, the two battle for a bit of time, and soon Uchida loses his stamina and falls to the ground. Using this opportunity, Song lands his final blow and defeats him. Later, when Mi turns back, she notices that Ryosuke has escaped and that the war is about to end. Enraged, she then immediately meets with Muhan and suggests he send the troops to Tokyo to launch the final attack and conquer the city. Despite Muhan hesitating to do so, she provides him with a detailed map of Tokyo and also mentions that Ghost, aka Song, has promised to open the castle gates of Tokyo. The scene then shifts to Japan, where Ryosuke is planning to open the castle gates to tend to the injuries of the ones who were injured in the battle. During this time, one of his men comes to him and tells him to treat his own injuries first. He also meets with Kenshin and asks him to take care of the group. This time, Ryosuke does not seem like an innocent guy and urges Kenshin to launch a final attack and complete it as soon as possible. In the following scene, When Kenshin is walking to the side of the road, he collides with a man on the way and immediately confronts him. The man is accompanied by a woman and both of them are wearing black hoodies. Here, it is revealed that the two are actually Yukiki and Song, roaming the streets of Tokyo. Yukiki is completely brainwashed by Ellie's magic and now is on Song's side. Together, the duo goes on to buy a new house using Song's golden token along with the southern castle walls. After the ownership is transferred to Song, the doors of the southern gates open automatically, despite the security staff trying their best to contain it. However, Yukiki enters the castle and persuades the people inside to abandon the castle, mentioning that their stats are greatly reduced while inside the castle. Seeing this, Song is impressed with Yukiki's dedication, and at the same time notices that the Korean troops in the place are less than he discussed with Mi and Muhan. Next, Song talks to Muhan, and he makes it clear that their plan has changed and are thinking of using the token of honor as much as possible. After the attack, there appears a gap between Japan and Korea as the Korean group manages to capture a part of Southern Castle. Because of this, the price of rare items in Japan goes up at least twice. Song is happy with the result and thanks Mi for her help and plan. In the last scene, we are introduced to a new character who is considered to be a chairperson and talks about punishing the captured prisoners in the repentance room. He seems to be an evil character and is ready to torture and betray people.